I'm up working on the chimney here, and yesterday I got this framed up for the concrete cap, and I got my hose up here, and I'm going to be logging. I'm going to be lobbing up some 80-pound bags of concrete here in a minute, which I'm not looking forward to. Basically, how I measured this out is this is the chimney itself, the chimney stack, I guess you can call it, and then I put some treated 2x4s around it, and then these are 1x6s, so that gives me a 2-inch cap, which is the minimum you want to have. And then I will slope this up just a little bit probably to a ridge down the center, so I'll slope it this way and slope it that way. And then I have ordered in, I got in now, the actual cap that goes over this. And then the way I measured it is that cap will come down basically to where this 2x4 stops at under here, and I can drill into it. I'm going to have about a 1/4-inch gap around the whole thing, so after I screw it in, any rain that does get in here and flows down to the side can dribble down between the treated 2x4 excuse me, and the what do we call it, the skirting, I guess, around the chimney cap. And then I'm just going to do probably some of that cedar lap sign that I've had forever and haven't used yet. I'm going to put that on here and hope to get this done before we run into another cold spell so we can use the fireplace. Right now inside we've got the pellet stove going, and we've got the radiant floor going, which is still working fine. One thing I forgot to mention here is I put these screws in as a way to tie the slab to the top of the chimney. I was thinking, I was like, boy, if we get a heck of a wind, it may just throw the chimney cap and everything right off. I think it's kind of doubtful, but still, these extra screws, I put them in all over the place, will just help to lock that slab down a little more. I've gone back and forth of putting wire in here. I think I may do that. Just go cut a piece of welded wire mesh and just lay it down inside there. It'd be on the bottom, but it'll still squish up a little bit just to help to keep it from cracking at all. So I gotta get that cut. And up here I got all my tools and supplies. I got another 2 bags of concrete down there. There's probably 2 bags in the bucket, at least 1, 2 there, and then a partial one. Hopefully that'll be enough to get me through this. Well, I think I started out too dry and I ended up too wet, and I probably floated it a little too much, so I got a little bit of slick on top. But it doesn't matter a whole heck of a lot, because it's just to keep, you know, rain, kind of like a rain cap basically, and then there's going to be a big metal cap over the top of that, so I'm not overly worried about it. But I do have enough slope where if any water gets on there, it is going to flow off over the sides like I want it, but I may get some dusting on the top. I'm not the best concrete guy, but it should work out just fine. You can see there's some wetness and pooling, but so when that dries, it's going to basically turn into a powder. But it doesn't need to be super smooth. It just needs to be high enough and thick enough to have enough slope to where when the water that gets on here, if any water gets in there, it's going to come over and then go off the side. If I didn't have this, it would just sit on top of my wood and eventually rot it out. And I thought about putting metal there and all this other stuff, then I have to cut around all these, and there's a bunch of reasons why I decided not to do that. Plus I needed to have a big enough lip under here. Oh, shoot. Bit windy today. Anyways, I need to have a big enough lip under here so my my shroud hangs over a little bit, and then my siding is going to come up right up underneath there. And then this is treated, so it should last a good long time, because any water that runs over here and down is going to run right across that treated wood. And I'll probably go along and put some of that zip tape around it also, just to give a little bit of an extra seal. I hope that'll help it last a couple more years. Okay, so it's been 2 days since I poured the chimney crown. I had to look up some terminology to make sure I had it right, because I don't really know the parts of this stuff. The concrete that I poured is the crown, and the cap is what I'm getting ready to put on here. So I'll get up there, take the forms off. I hope this will fit in without any problems. But I had to prep this a little bit. So on the cap here, I just measured off, drilled some holes. So I found the center, and I've got 3 holes on this side, 3 holes on the other side. Came back through with some paint, shot it on the holes, and then on this side there'll be the rubber grommet. I'm just not worried about it rusting anything out there. This is stainless steel, so it shouldn't rust anyways. Alright, so here is my concrete, what do I call this thing, crown? So a couple things I still need to do. I need to put some sealant around these. So these were just vents. They just go inside there because I did a wood chimney and I have a wood burning fireplace below this. I want to make sure that any trapped heat would have a way to get out. So these are just 2 vents, just go right inside there. And then that's of course the chimney pipe goes all the way down. It's windy today, as you can probably hear, and it's supposed to be even windier tomorrow. So I want to make sure I can get this up here before we have these 34 or 40 mile an hour winds. But everything went pretty much like I expected. The cap or the crown doesn't have to be pretty at all because no one's going to see it. Probably could have found an easier way to do this. Well, there she is. Looks pretty good. I'm probably a tick low on the left side, maybe an 1/8 inch from left to right, if that. But I seriously doubt you're going to notice that from down below. So I would need to get some siding stain so I can put it up there. I think we'll use some of that cedar, and I'll just stain it natural and put it up there to cover that up. And we're pretty much ready to have our first fire. I didn't really mean to paint the concrete in there, but as I was spray painting those, it hit the concrete, and I'm like, well, heck, I got like 5 cans of that stuff. I might as well just shoot it on there and see what happens. I doubt it's going to hurt anything. Even if it peels up, I'll probably never know it. But a little bit of paint on there isn't gonna affect much. You can see the angle there. It's going to be a pretty good storm to get any water down the chimney. At our last house, we had the stock spark arrestor, chimney cap, whatever you want to call it. On that one, it was the exact same pipe, and we got water down it all the time. And this is a much bigger cap, so I'd be surprised unless we get like just a major storm that we're gonna get much water down there. Along the sides, along that skirting area, there's probably a pretty good 3/8 of an inch or so in between there, so plenty of room for water that gets in there to come down around the sides and drip out below. So it fit in there really well. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it, but I am battling the wind today, so it'll be kind of hard to hear me. I'm going to go ahead and try and get the cedar siding on the chimney here. So I've done is I ripped down some treated lumber into 1/4 inch strips for my rain screen, and that gives you a gap, an air gap between your fascia and the siding itself. So if any water or moisture gets behind there, you can get some airflow up in there, and it'll help to drain it out so it doesn't rot things through. So I got my strips up to create an air gap behind. So again, any water that gets behind can evaporate, it can flow down, it can get out, not be an issue should any water get behind there. This strip was cut long so that I can tack my lap siding here in 4 places on this particular side, and then the trim piece will cover up over that, and it's going to stick out about that far, so it'll hide that overlap back inside there. You're supposed to have at least 1/2 an inch of overhang. I should have 3/4 of an inch overhang. You can also come through here and put some sealant in. I'm not going to really worry about that because I'm going to have a good overlap. I've got treated behind. It's all sealed up down below. Any water that gets in there, this is treated, this is treated. I have cedar siding. I have a painted cedar piece going over it. Maybe in, I don't know, 20 years that'll rot out. But so I hope you can understand what I'm doing here. If not, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I'm pretty good at replying. Well, done. Of course, everything takes a lot longer than you'd think or would like it to. But I think it's pretty good. Of course, the browns don't match exactly. It's really hard to get anything to match exactly. From the ground, it looks pretty good. So I think the stark contrast between the dark brown and the stained wood, I think it looks pretty good, actually. I did screw up. Well, I screwed up a couple places. I got my seam on the front here instead of on the side, and I was putting this piece on going, oh, next time I cut this I got to make sure I do it right. Well, back here I had to cut that one at an angle, but this one's just straight, so I could have swapped them out, and I didn't realize that until I got all the way over onto this side, and then put the seam on the side there. It's not a big deal, you can't even see it from the bottom, but you know, it's just one of those things that's kind of bugged me. Another thing I screwed up on is I cut this bottom piece and I put it on backwards so you can see the difference. That's unstained and that's stained, or waterproofing, I guess. So I'm going to go back and catch that real quick. Should have done it before I put the trim on, I guess. Well, screw up number 3, I suppose. And for those of you who are screaming about how I'm doing this totally wrong, you're probably right. So I'm not skilled at this stuff. I'd watched a lot of videos and did some research and looked around the best I could, and I knew the general idea, but I'm sure I had messed stuff up somewhere along the way. But I got the rain screen in there. I overlapped 3/4 of an inch instead of 1/2 inch. I only have 5.5 reveal instead of a 6-inch reveal, so I kind of constricted what I read you're supposed to do, and ended up with this. So I guess time will tell if it lasts or falls apart on me in a year. But the same siding, the plan is to put the same siding up in the peak area up there, same color, and then we'll have board and batten next to the windows, kind of like where the roof line changes slope there. All the way across and up would be that lap siding, and from there down would be board and batten. It'll be the same on the other side as well. I kind of had quite a bit of waste on this. Several of the pieces, you can see them down there. Several of those long pieces were just cracked to the point where there was really nothing I could salvage from them. And then just a lot of it was just ended up being waste. Out of all the boards I had, there was a lot of cut-offs, a lot of stuff back in the burn pile. And you know, I bought that siding 2 years ago probably. It's been sitting all bundled up, and it's cedar. It should be fine. I pulled it out. They were, of course, they were wet. Laid them out to dry for 2 days before I started staining them. And I mean, they look good. Mine looks pretty sharp. We'll just have to see how well it lasts and how much waste I have when I start doing the other stuff.